You don't spit on someone and expect the conversation to keep going. That's the image you remember from Sunday night. A blur of helmets, a shove, a flash of anger, and then bodies parting while a referee's flag drops and an ejection call echoes down the stadium. Jalen Ramsey walked off the field that night not because his tackling failed or because a play unraveled. He walked off because something happened that, in football terms, crosses an unspoken line. Video later showed Ja'Marr Chase spitting at Ramsey right before Ramsey swung, and the league's review has left both men with punishments that changed the tone of this rivalry. http://uw.fox19.com. Here's what the ledger says. Ramsey was fined $14,491 for throwing a punch. Chase was suspended 1 game for spitting and will lose in excess of $500,000 in pay for that suspension. The optics look simple on a ledger. Punch equals fine, spit equals suspension. But the human story is messier. One man got the field penalty and immediate public scorn that comes with ejection. The other walked back to the locker room and then found out the league would make him sit and pay dearly for crossing a boundary. Heavy sports. Let's not sanitize what happened. Spitting is not just another retort. It's a targeted humiliation. Professional athletes accept trash talk. It's part of the game. But to force someone to swallow an affront like that in the middle of play is different. It's meant to wound. Ramsey's reaction, a punch and a grab, was violent and wrong under the rules, but it also read like the raw human response when you feel you've been degraded in front of thousands. The officials didn't see the spit live. The broadcast didn't catch it. But sideline video from Fox 19 captured the moment, and that frame changed how the replay told the story. /fox9.com. Now watch how the league treated it. Measured, procedural, and predictable. The NFL fined Ramsey for the violent response and suspended Chase for the spitting. That distinction matters because the league has to enforce conduct consistently, and spitting has long been treated as among the worst on-field slights. A punch gets punished. A punch after being spat on gets punished too, because the rules are blunt instruments that don't parse motive under heat. The result is a split punishment that will let everyone argue about fairness until the next headline drops. NFL.com, there are 3 things to watch in the fallout. First, the competitive ripple. Ramsey is one of Pittsburgh's leaders, a playmaker who shifts how opponents plan passes and matchups. And losing him for any meaningful time, or having him play with a cloud around him, changes a defense's identity. For Cincinnati, losing Chase for a game is a real cut. He's their most explosive playmaker, and missing him costs the offense tempo and threat level. That 1-game gap can tilt a matchup, alter game plans, and, in the thin margin of the NFL, decide a division race. Reuters. Second, the cultural signal. Coaches and locker rooms will use this as a teaching moment. Mike Tomlin's reaction, essentially, "I have no message if someone spits in your face," told you how the Steelers view the Attorney General of Honor in this instance. They'll protect their own and expect players to handle the fallout internally. That's not an excuse for violence. It's the locker room logic you see across sports, where personal honor sometimes outruns league policy. The public policy and the locker room policy are 2 different ecosystems. NFL.com third, the optics on discipline and fairness. Social media will pick a side, highlight the video frame that supports its narrative, and turn the conversation into long-form outrage. But leagues are not referees for morality. They're administrators of a rule book. The NFL has to set precedents. Spitting is unemotional, unclean, and it carries a heavier expected repercussion than a reactive punch. Fans will debate whether the punishments reflect that moral weight fairly, but the league's job is to minimize repeat offenses and to make the consequences obvious to future players. BS/Fox19.com. Let's be practical for a second. The Bengals have to reroute some of their attack plans for the next game without Chase. Will another receiver step up? Will Joe Burrow, or whoever's calling the shots, change the route tree to mask the absence? For Pittsburgh, Ramsey's fine is financial and symbolic, but the more immediate question is whether his on-field focus gets fractured. Emotional incidents like this can linger. A player plays tighter, a defense plays more aggressive to compensate, or the team doubles down and uses this as fuel. Any choice has consequences down the schedule. Reuters, there's a final, quieter note here about narrative. Video edits the truth in a way the human eye doesn't. When officials missed the spit live, the game proceeded on a partial script. Only later did a sideline camera reveal a fuller image, and that replay forced the league's hand. In a world of omnipresent cameras, nothing stays private, and yet real-time officiating lags that archive. The collision between live calls and later evidence is a messy reality the league will keep wrestling with. www.fox19.com. So where does this leave us? Two grown men will carry different marks from Sunday. One, a fine and a public ejection. The other, a suspension and a massive paycheck penalty. Both will be bracketed in highlight reels for different reasons. One for the fury that overturned a rivalry moment, the other for the provocation that set everything off. But maybe the real takeaway is simpler and older than any fine or suspension. Sports are human, and humans sometimes do ugly things. The job of the league is to keep games safe. The job of teams is to protect players, and the job of fans is, at its best, to reckon with complexity instead of reducing it to memes. Heavy sports. If you remember one image from this whole mess, make it this. A camera on the sideline catching a small, shameful motion that changed the arc of a game. It's proof that details matter, that discipline matters, and that in a sport built on controlled chaos, the smallest act of disrespect can explode into the biggest storyline. Imagine you're in the heat of a rivalry. The crowd is loud, the hits are hard, and then two elite competitors get so tangled up that the moment stops being about X's and O's and starts being about human reaction. That's what happened between Ja'Marr Chase and Jalen Ramsey. A sideline spat that exploded into a punch, an ejection, a viral field-level video, a one-game suspension, and now fines at www.fox19.com. Here's the play-by-play you need. Late in the game, an on-field confrontation between the Bengals superstar receiver and the Steelers shutdown corner escalated. Ramsey threw a punch and was ejected. Broadcast replays didn't clearly show the buildup, but a field-level clip captured by Fox 19 appeared to show Chase spitting in Ramsey's direction just before the retaliation. That clip changed everything. The league reviewed the footage, and what had looked like a single ejection turned into a multi-part discipline saga. httw.fox19.com. The NFL's disciplinary response landed fast. Chase was suspended one game without pay after the league determined he spit on Ramsey, a rare, serious penalty that will cost him in excess of $500,000 once his lost game check and active game bonus are tallied. Chase appealed, but a jointly appointed hearing officer denied that appeal and upheld the suspension. This isn't just a fine, it's a meaningful absence that affects both the player's pocket and the Bengals roster calculus. Reuters' Ramsey didn't walk away scot-free either. The league fined him $4,491 for throwing the punch that got him tossed. That fine underscores a simple principle the NFL enforces. Retaliation is punishable even when provoked. The optics are messy, and the numbers make the headlines. But the message from the league is blunt. Don't take matters into your own hands, even if someone spits in your face. hps/fox19.com. From a precedent standpoint, this incident reads as a watershed. Spitting has historically resulted in fines. Suspensions for spitting are exceptionally rare. The league's decision to suspend Chase signals that certain breaches of sportsmanship are now being treated with the same gravity as violent or reckless acts. That shift will ripple through how players think about sideline conduct, how coaches police emotions, and how officials frame post-play enforcement.